Did you know who discovered the bacteria first? He was not even a scientist. He was a cloth merchant with zero formal education. His passion for science revealed an entire microbial world. But here's the crazy part. The scientific community completely ignored his groundbreaking discoveries for over 200 years. Welcome back to the channel where we dive deep into the most fascinating stories from science history. Today, we are uncovering the incredible tale of how bacteria were first discovered. By the end of this video, you'll understand how one man's obsessive curiosity revolutionized our entire understanding of the microscopic world. His story begins in the Dutch city of Delft in the 1600s. A middle-aged businessman spends his evenings hunched over tiny pieces of glass, grinding and polishing them with the precision of a master craftsman. He wasn't making windows or mirrors. He was creating something far more revolutionary. He had become fascinated with magnifying glasses and used them to examine the quality of cloth fibers in his business. His curiosity and passion had evolved into a desire to see things that no human eye had ever seen before. Here's where things get really interesting. The microscopes of that era were bulky, complicated contraptions that provided fuzzy, distorted images. However, our Dutch merchant had a completely different approach. Instead of using multiple lenses, he perfected the art of creating single, incredibly powerful lenses. They were masterpieces of precision that could magnify objects up to 300 times their actual size. His name was Antonie van Leeuwenhoek. The level of detail Leeuwenhoek achieved was absolutely mind-blowing for the time period. While his contemporaries were struggling to see basic cellular structures, he was peering into a world that seemed almost magical. The moment of truth came in 1674, when Leeuwenhoek decided to examine a drop of lake water under his microscope. Imagine his shock when he discovered that this seemingly empty drop of water was actually teeming with tiny moving creatures. He called them animalcules, little animals, because they appeared to be swimming and darting around like microscopic fish. But Leeuwenhoek didn't stop there. His curiosity was insatiable. He began examining everything he could get his hands on: rainwater, pond scum, his own saliva, even scrapings from his teeth. And everywhere he looked, he found more of these mysterious tiny organisms. Some were round, others were rod-shaped, and some had peculiar spiral forms. He was witnessing bacterial life in all its diverse glory, though he had no idea what these creatures actually were. The detail in Leeuwenhoek's observations was extraordinary. He noticed that different samples contained different types of creatures, and he began to understand that this microscopic world was far more complex than anyone had imagined. Now here's where the story takes a frustrating turn. Leeuwenhoek was meticulous about documenting his discoveries, sending detailed letters and drawings to the Royal Society of London, one of the most prestigious scientific institutions of the time. You'd think the scientific community would be thrilled by these revelations, right? Wrong. Many scientists of the era were skeptical, even dismissive of Leeuwenhoek's claims. Some thought his observations were simply artifacts of poor microscopy techniques. The tragic irony was that Leeuwenhoek was so far ahead of his time that his contemporaries couldn't even comprehend what he was showing them. For decades after Leeuwenhoek's death, his discoveries languished in relative obscurity. It wasn't until the development of improved microscopy techniques in the 1800s that scientists began to fully appreciate the significance of what this Dutch cloth merchant had accomplished centuries earlier. The impact of Leeuwenhoek's discovery of bacteria cannot be overstated. He had opened the door to understanding infectious diseases, the role of microorganisms in decomposition, and ultimately led to the development of antibiotics and modern medicine. Every time you take an antibiotic or benefit from pasteurized milk, you're experiencing the legacy of that first glimpse into the bacterial world. While Antonie van Leeuwenhoek was the first to see bacteria in the 1670s, he never used the word bacterium. Instead, he referred to them as animalcules. The term bacterium, from the Greek bakterion, meaning small stick or rod, was first coined in 1838 by the German naturalist Christian Gottfried Ehrenberg. Ehrenberg used it to describe rod-shaped microorganisms he observed through his microscope. This naming gave scientists a formal classification for these newly recognized microbes and helped standardize communication in the emerging field of microbiology. In summary, the credit for first discovering bacteria goes to Antonie van Leeuwenhoek. Using his handcrafted microscopes, this Dutch scientist was the first to see and describe bacteria as tiny animalcules in water and saliva. His 17th century observations unlocked the hidden microbial world, giving birth to microbiology and the germ theory. The discovery of bacteria was a turning point in science, influencing everything from disease prevention to food production. However, the term bacteria was first coined by Christian Gottfried Ehrenberg. What do you think about this incredible discovery? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe our channel for more fascinating stories from science history.